Okay, we're live. A premium X account on Twitter is required to create a live broadcast. Okay, well, I guess I will not be. Wait a minute, I do actually have a premium X. I do have a premium X account. Let me see here. Upgrade. Oh, yeah. Premium, $30. Let's just do it. $25 a month. Per year build per year. No, I want to do monthly. All right, I'll set that up later and I'll do it. This live today is very near and dear to me. What I don't appreciate is that 2 years ago, when Andrew and Tristan Tate were snatched away from their homes in the dead of night by Romanian law enforcement, that was like the biggest news in the world. It went viral. Andrew Tate's one of the most famous men in the world because he speaks about masculinity and men having pride in themselves and being a man and having a family and wanting to work, literally promoting the whole basis of being conservatism, traditional, of being a man, what a man traditionally is. He promotes those values in a world where everything around you is telling you to wear makeup and to paint your nails and to be gay and to kiss other men. And there's all these, I saw this weird article that said, men get together and we have cuddle sessions. No, the fuck we don't. We don't get together and have cuddle sessions. We don't play footsie. Men, we work. We fight. We die. And in between, we start families. We get married. We have children. We get dogs. But, complete happiness has never been a part of the male equation. So we're not searching for happiness, but we believe in duty. Andrew Tate literally epitomizes and reminds you of what you're here to be. Sure, he said a bunch of crazy stuff on the internet a while ago. I have a history. And in the future, somebody might say, oh man, but Rico this, Rico that, he did this, he did that. It's whatever. I'm just a guy that complains and talks shit on the internet. I'm nobody. I'm just a regular guy. But I respect what Andrew Tate's doing. I have a father. My father was a man. My father taught me a lot about being a man. And I also learned that men are flawed. Men are not perfect. And, we make hard decisions because we can't be emotional as men. Emotions and being a man, we don't conflict because, as we all know from dealing with women, emotions don't really have much to do with reality most of the time. So, you can't have two people in a relationship living in the clouds looking for perfection. Somebody has to be grounded. Typically, that's the man. Andrew Tate was literally the same accusations that they're waging against every man of influence and money. Any man who people that are Democrats or liberals or World Economic Forum, any men they want to take down using the media, they do a blitzkrieg of just basically a negative media attack, and they always accuse you of the same thing: sexual assault, grape, and trafficking. Now, basically, if you go to a party or you go to a concert or you go to a club and you meet someone, you and her hit it off, and she texts you at 4 a.m. and says, hey, I want to come see you. Can you send me an Uber? If she sends you her address and you order an Uber for a woman who's an adult, who's consenting, if an Uber drives her from her home and drops her off at your home, and say you guys are enjoying each other, say you guys, end up having intercourse or, sex with each other, legally, that's sex trafficking. if you meet a woman while you're, if you meet a woman and she lives in California, but you live in New York, and you are like, yeah, it's beautiful. I want to see you. When can you come out? She says next week. If you buy her a plane ticket and she flies to New York, if somebody doesn't like your politics, somebody doesn't like what you've said on the internet, if what you're doing is a threat to someone because the things you talk about is influential to the wrong people, literally, they can come back and say, you trafficked that woman. I often bring up R. Kelly has the same charges as Andrew Tate. And they started the same way with just rumors. When I went through R. Kelly's paperwork, the woman was like 26 years old. He met her. He had did a show. He met her. He went to another state. She reached out. He flew her to another state. He basically took her on a vacation. Of course, they had sex. And years later, they brought that up as a sex trafficking charge against that man. Literally the same thing happened in the Tate brother case. There was a woman in one country. She was begging to come to Romania. She was already doing internet content, OnlyFans and webcam, which is totally legal unless you're Andrew Tate, unless you're Tristan Tate. Now you're forcing women and they don't want to do it and you have them in a bad situation. So everybody else can do corn. Everybody else can make videos. Everybody else can do OnlyFans and sell feet pictures. Everybody else can be on their 18th birthday, be flown out by Brazzers, be flown out by these glory hole people. On your 18th birthday as a woman, you can be flown anywhere in the world. Do 15 scenes in 2 days. And then you can be flown back home and paid, and no one bats an eye. But yet, Andrew Tate flies somebody out who's already doing this. She has a great time. She wants to get a free trip to go see some other guy somewhere else, so she makes up a story. But it just happened to magically be at a time where he's at his peak influence, and he's actually asking questions where the establishment that he's going against don't want him to talk about. Even though he's in Europe, he's still in the West, the Western world. If he was in a BRICS nation, this would have never happened. If he was in Brazil, if he was in Russia, if he was in China, if he was in Iran, if he was in Russia, if he was in a BRICS nation, this would have never happened. But he was in a Western country. Even though Romania's in the Eastern European bloc, it's still a Western nation. So it's under the jurisdiction and the full control of the World Economic Forum. All of our countries and all of our G7 countries are under control of the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum, which are just one. And they're under the Davos Group, controlled by a man named Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, George Soros, and the Vatican, King Charles. Certain people at the top. And you can tell they're reorganizing the world in their image. Their image of what men should be, which is not reproducing, weak, feminine, and afraid, is the literally polar opposite of what the Tate brothers, men like myself, or other people. It's the opposite of what we expose in real life. Some of us are fighters, some of us are not. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of the fighters. So what they do is they'll lock you in prison. Like he said, this is a matrix attack. I want to play this video because, like I said, this should be going on every news station in the world right now, like it was when he was arrested. His charges dismissed due to a lack of evidence. So if there's a lack of evidence to take him to trial, how wasn't there a lack of evidence for the initial arrest in the first place? Then you look at what's going on in Romania today. Oh, they just had all their elections canceled because I guess the people that have been in charge, the ones who allowed the World Economic Forum to, go after the Tate brothers in their country. Well, it just turns out that they were all corrupt, and they also tried to do the same thing and make up lies about Russia interfering in their elections. Doesn't that sound familiar? It's like the same exact playbook over and over again. And as the public, we're not supposed to keep track. We're not supposed to see a pattern. Yeah, fucking right. I see a pattern. I'm going to talk about it. We're going to point it out. We're going to keep talking about it. I can't get banned. I only have a few sponsors. Speaking of sponsors, cosigning.com. If you're looking to move into an apartment, but you don't have a friend or a family member that was willing to co-sign for you, please reach out to our friends at cosigning.com. and they can match you with a co-signer today. But besides, I'm not monetized on YouTube. Don't plan on being, even though I just got a strike, so I couldn't post for a while. I'm learning the rules. I'm learning that I cannot talk about this topic right here. And that's Fauci right there, right? And you guys, if you look at this picture and you look at the name, Safe and Effective Podcast, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about it anymore on YouTube because I don't want to cede ground in a battle. If this is a battlefield, I can talk about other things. I can talk. If you want to hear about that, you want to see my research about that, you want me to talk about it, come to Rumble, come to X, free conversation. I can tell you everything you need to know because I am a lead researcher. I'm a lead researcher in the topic, believe it or not. So let me play this video of Andrew Tate, and this video should go viral. I want you guys to hear his own words. It's just incredible what happened to him and what he had to persevere. And I'm very happy that him and his brother made it through. They held the line, they stayed strong, but they also stayed a team. So listen.
You see apologies are flooding in. Decision in the trial of the Tate brothers accused of terrible things was there was never enough evidence. What happened to the case in which the Tate brothers are accused of? Well, there was never any evidence of it. A Romanian court says Andrew Tate case can't go to trial because of, quote, missteps by the prosecutors. I mean, again, victory for Andrew Tate. Romanian court refuses to put him on trial over these charges. It just means they did not have the evidence. Now, I know people on Twitter said they had all the evidence, you know.
Case dismissed. There was never any evidence to the media, which were very complicit, to try their very best to slander me, to bother my mother after she had an operation, trying to make her cry, to make my children sad, to make the women around me sad. This is not just about my brother and I. We're tough guys. Every single person who loves us has suffered, and there's never been any evidence in the first place, like we've been telling you for 3 solid years. We've been telling you this for 3 solid years. This is a bittersweet day. I'm happy because finally an honest judge did the right thing and threw this case out. I am happy because I got to enjoy this perilous path.
Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect they may be able to retry it. I don't know. If the judge threw it out, obviously it's going to make it more difficult down the road to say, well, suddenly now we have the evidence.
The person I love the most on the planet, which is my brother, Tristan Tate. He is the best brother on the planet. And when we shook hands, irregardless of the circumstance, even when we were sitting in a jail cell together, we only laughed and smiled. We are ready to die together. We had this moment we were born. And there's no better feeling on earth than knowing you have a brother who's ready to die beside you. We are the type of men who will charge at the gunfire after a quick nod of heads. We don't care. We were ready for 20 years from Rehoboth. We knew this was a setup. We knew this was a matrix attack. We didn't expect justice at any point during this, but we fought tooth and nail. My legal team and everyone around me.
I mean,
you know, his brother was never the target. He was. His brother went to jail with him, and that was his partner throughout the whole ordeal. They laughed together. They stayed positive. They were happy. They talked. His brother never turned on him. His brother said, I'm willing to die for you. You know, and I think that comes down to good parenting. You know, a lot of us have relatives and siblings that we don't even speak to, never got along with. And I'll be honest, a lot of that comes from your parents. You know, a lot of that comes from issues at home. But these guys were raised right. Their parents did a really good job. Their father, rest in peace, should be proud. Their mother should be proud. I'm watching this off of the Quarterings page. Actually, I could bring this up on X myself, so we can just play the whole Tate video. Let's see here. Andrew Tate. You know, people don't even know that this is happening right now. This is one of the most important things in the world right now, and this is going to set a precedent for these other cases. You got to think about it. We're at a weird point in history where now they use lawfare to take down men that they don't like. And every man who's straight, who has ex-girlfriends, can be accused because everybody technically is guilty of trafficking. If all it is you're moving one woman from one place to another and you have sex with her, that's trafficking. So again, you take her on a vacation, you pay for her an Uber, You buy her a plane ticket to come see you, and you guys go to Hawaii. That's all trafficking. It's all literally trafficking. There is no, well, it's not trafficking because of this. According to the law, even adult women cannot make decisions for themselves. Even adult women can't choose who and who not to give themselves to or to have sex with. Women have no control and no say so because according to the law, women are not mentally capable of making sound decisions. I thought everybody wants to be progressive all of a sudden. What happened to equity and equality and all that stuff? If it's equal, then why can't she make a decision on what she wants to do with herself? Why is it that men are held responsible for basically all decisions this adult woman makes? It's shameful, but this is why this case was dismissed, because it should have never been tried in the first place. They just wanted to get him off of the street. They wanted to tie him and his brother up in court, take their money, take their cars, and basically tell them we're going to shut you up. They didn't. Now this case is dismissed. They can go back to traveling. They got all their cars back already. That was already a good sign that this was nonsense. It was always a nothing burger. They just wanted to shut them up. But again, like I always say in my other shows, people like us, we don't scare easy. Think about it. You see that little logo on the top corner? It's a bald eagle with headphones on. This is not just a safe and effective podcast. I'm also broadcasting on the America First Daily News. I didn't even know this because I don't get on TikTok. But my ex-girlfriend, she tells me, because she does commentary all of a sudden too, which is great. But she's like, yeah, I said America First on TikTok, and people came after me because they said America First is a slur. How? If I lived in Mexico and I said Mexico First, nobody would say that's a slur. There's no country on earth I could go to where I could say, yeah, my country's number one, my country first, and it would be considered derogatory, offensive, or hurtful to anybody. But, I don't live in that world. I don't hang around people like that. I don't communicate with people who do not agree. If you have a problem with me saying America First, then take it up. But most of these people would never talk to you directly. But, if we had fear, we wouldn't say America First. We would be ashamed of our country. We wouldn't be proud to talk about where we're from and who we are. I mean, you got to think about it. The English that I'm speaking right now is a very particular dialect. It's not the Queen's English. We're not South African. We're not Nigerian. We're not even Canadian. I don't say American English from the United States. A very particular, specific type of English. And when you're traveling, I live in other countries and I've, been a lot of places. When you hear this dialect of English from another American, all that stuff they push in the media about race, all that shit's out the window. We're just Americans. Everyone knows that except for people that are stuck here in this country, mainly people that are on the left, but people who hate themselves and they blame everything around them for why they feel a certain way about themselves. So you got to get over yourself. It's not us. You got to get over it yourself. I want to play more of this video because this video is so inspirational. I mean, it's like watching Rocky when he was screaming for Adrian. It's like you want to run up the flight of stairs in Philadelphia when you watch this video.
Guilty verdict. A judge has decided there's not enough evidence to even send this to trial. There's no evidence of crimes. None of this makes sense. They print an indictment with thousands of pieces of paper, which doesn't mean anything. It doesn't add up to a crime. They falsified evidence. The whole thing is garbage. The case is now officially dismissed. But if there's no evidence to take me to trial, this begs a very pertinent question. There was never any evidence to put me in jail. There was never any evidence to raid my house 5 times. There was never any evidence to keep me travel banned for 3 years. There was never any evidence to stop me seeing my children. There was never any evidence to stop me seeing my mother when she had a heart attack. There was never any evidence to steal all of my cars and all of my money and all of my wealth. There was never any evidence to the media, which were very complicit, to try their very best to slander me, to bother my mother after she had an operation, trying to make her cry, to make my children sad, to make the women around me sad. This is not just about my brother and I. We're tough guys. Every single person who loves us has suffered, and there's never been any evidence in the first place, like we've been telling you for 3 solid years. We've been telling you this for 3 solid years. This is a bittersweet day. I'm happy because finally an honest judge did the right thing and threw this case out. I'm happy because I got to enjoy this perilous path with the person I love the most on the planet, which is my brother, Tate. He is the best brother on the planet.
And I'll be honest with you, I love my family and my brothers, but I'll be honest, his brother is one of a kind. Amazing. You know, I could only dream of having sons who are as tight and as close and love each other and support each other the way the Tate brothers do. They are an amazing example for how you should want your kids. And their relationship should be studied.
When we shook hands, regardless of the circumstance, even when we were sitting in a jail cell together, we only laughed and smiled. We are ready to die together. We have been since the moment we were born. And there's no better feeling on earth than knowing you have a brother who's ready to die beside you. We are the type of men who will charge at the gunfire after a quick nod of heads. We don't care. We were ready for 20 years in Rehoboth. We knew this was a setup. We knew this was a matrix attack. We didn't expect justice at any point during this, but we fought tooth and nail. My legal team and everyone around me said, Andrew, just be quiet. If you're quiet, you can make it go away. Don't make a big noise about it. Maybe we can do a deal behind the shadows. I said, no, my father did not raise me to have the Tate name tarnished by liars and corrupt actors. I will fight tooth and nail from the absolute day I was first accused until the last day they throw me in jail, and from there, I will continue to fight. I'm an innocent man. I've done nothing wrong. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm not going to do a deal. I'm not going to lay down. I'm going to fight this absolutely tooth and nail. And everybody told me, you can't beat the system. If you make too big a deal of this, you are going to go to jail. And I said, I will go to jail for 20 years happily if everybody knows I'm innocent. If everybody knows I've done nothing wrong, I'll suffer in jail. But I will not let people lie and slander the last name Tate when we've done nothing wrong.
I went to jail. A lot of people don't know this. I don't tell everybody. In 2020, I went to jail over this subject. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't comply. I didn't lock down. I didn't stay home. You know, if that's what it took for Granny to survive, then Granny ain't gonna make it. I wasn't gonna pretend the air was gonna chase me down. And again, I'm not talking about this subject, not on YouTube, but I wouldn't comply with the mask. There was this weird rule. I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I was at this club, right? And if you walk into the club, you have to wear the mask. But when you get to your section, if you buy a bottle, you can take the mask off. But if you want to walk around to go to the bathroom, you got to put it on. It was nonsensical. And I got into it with a security guard. And I was like, listen, this mask thing is ridiculous. I'm just going to the restroom. I already paid for a bottle. My table's right here. And long story short, we end up getting into it. And I got arrested over an illegal mask mandate. And I probably should still sue that venue. I'm going to reach out to my lawyer from that time because they ended up having to throw the case out. But I'm going to reach out to my lawyer and I'm going to see what grounds I have about that.
There is no such thing as light without dark. The light that radiates from the beautiful brotherhood I share with Tristan must be balanced. And the balance to that dark are nightmares, which I've suffered ever since I was put inside of that jail cell. I still wake up at night looking for cockroaches inside of my blankets. I still smell that jail. I didn't go to jail in England. I didn't go to jail in fucking America. I went to jail in Romania. I was thrown in an Eastern European prison. Do you have any idea the conditions in an Eastern European jail? And there was never any evidence for me to be there in the fucking first place. I think God is giving me these nightmares to ensure that my wounds stay fresh.
That's another no-no. If you're in this new world, the World Economic Forum is trying to create for us, you can't believe in God. They're replacing God with technology, because if you have technology, then there is no use for God. If they're telling you that they're going to space, well, there's no space in the Bible. There's no God on other planets talking about aliens. So you got to choose one or the other, and they're trying to get you away from God. If you're following a man like Andrew Tate, he's bringing you back to God. That's another big part of masculinity. That's another big part of being a man is, you know, you're supposed to be the leader of your household, the leader of your family. A really good leader is going to have a base in some form of belief and some sort of structure. Religion does give you structure. And if he's trying to bring you back to God, it's because he wants you to be a more structured person. in a time where they want you to fall apart and eventually self-delete, which is what's happening to a lot of these people that don't think this way. They're trying to live these other lifestyles. Humans have lived a certain way for however long we've been on this earth. All of a sudden, in the last 10 years, 5 years, they're trying to reinvent the wheel. Men, and everybody's trying. It doesn't work. And one day you wake up and self-delete because you have nothing to live for. You have no wife. You have no children. You have no prospects. And I don't know why people keep trying to push that lifestyle on the other people and get them to do these surgeries. That all leads to self-deletion because that lifestyle inherently is lonely. And humans were not made to be alone. We don't do good at it. That's why solitary confinement is a punishment.
Because it would be very easy. The first case has been thrown out. The second case will follow quickly. And within a few weeks, we'll be back on private jets, back in our Bugattis, back on yachts, living a good life. We could just ignore all this, live and let live, make it all go away. No big deal. We were found innocent. So why would God still be keeping me awake at night unless he wants my wounds to still hurt? Unless he understands that his ending.
He wants my wounds to still hurt.
Justice is when liars. Justice is when corrupt actors. Justice is when complicit media outlets. Justice is when people who have tried their very best to put an innocent man in jail purely because they don't like what he says. Not because he's guilty, because they don't like what he says. They had no interest in the truth. They just wanted me to be guilty because they didn't like me. Justice is when they feel the full weight of the law. And perhaps he has enacted me, chosen me as his soldier because I am 38 years old. I have 35 more years to live. I have unlimited resource. I can't sleep. I'm petty. And I can ensure that everybody who has ever said my name in a negative light regrets the day they were chasing the attention and chasing the likes on Twitter because it's not going to be worth it.
You know, it's crazy. Even Trump, the rest of us conservatives, now we're on the offense. You know, since 2020, I mean, I would have a big Trump flag in front of my house when I lived in Arizona, even here in Texas, and no one would ever say nothing to me because, you know, obviously there's going to be a confrontation and most people aren't built for those. But it's just, if you look at, you know, if you're keeping score, they said the most horrible things about us. They tried to shame you into you know, leaving your own common sense behind and agreeing with them about nonsense. I remember there was someone trying to convince me that I'm a victim. This was a guy who was working for me, and he was white, but he was a liberal, maybe gay, I don't know. And he was trying to convince me that I should, you know, think a certain type of way. And he's like, yeah, because you're oppressed. And I was like, well, you're fired right now. I just fired you. So which one of us is oppressed? You could not oppress me. You don't have the strength. You don't have the size. You don't have the. There is no one that can oppress me. There's no one that can stop me or hold me down. And I'm in the United States of America. So there's no excuse either. You know, now we're back on the offense, but it's great that, you know, we have the popular mandate from Trump, because now that means that we can push forward our agenda and kind of get things back under control, because everything's been a clown world lately. You know what? I actually am supposed to, I might be having somebody else come on and join me on live. So I'm going to pause and then I'll come back in a little while and post this. And I'll be back here in a little bit.